Ladies and gentlemen, Raiders Nation, buckle up because if there's one thing the silver and black faithful know how to do, it's turn heartbreak into hunger. Picture this. It's a crisp November night in the neon glow of Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium pulsing like a heartbeat, and the Raiders are staring down a rematch that could rewrite their season script. Last time they tangled with the Chargers, it was a gut-punch loss that lit the fuse on 9 defeats in their last 10 games. But hold on, because the Raiders aren't just showing up, they're reloaded, recharged, and ready to rumble. Welcome to Raiders Report, where we dive deep into the drama of the AFC West. I'm your host, channeling that old-school Oakland fire with a Vegas edge, and tonight, we're breaking down why this silver and black squad is primed for payback against the Bolts. Let's roll! First off, let's set the stage for this showdown. The Las Vegas Raiders roll into SoFi Stadium, or wherever fate throws this rematch, facing the Los Angeles Chargers for round 2 of what feels like a personal vendetta. That first clash? Oof. It wasn't just a loss, it was the spark that ignited a skid so brutal, it had fans questioning everything from the play sheet to the pregame playlist. But here's the Raiders' rallying cry. Change is coming, and it's wearing a pirate eye patch. Head coach Pete Carroll, the evergreen tactician who's seen more gridiron wars than most of us have hot takes, stepped up on Wednesday and laid it out plain. "I've got great respect for Jim Harbaugh," Carroll said, tipping his cap to the Chargers' sideline general. "We've battled on all levels, and we know they'll bounce back from their last game. They've been off to a blistering start this season. So much respect for their staff, their quarterback. He's ridiculously good, with tools that make defenses weep. It's a tough challenge, but we're excited to kick this thing off." And excited? Understatement of the year. Pete. This isn't just another AFC West bloodbath, it's redemption wrapped in rivalry. Remember, the Raiders and Chargers have been trading haymakers since the days of Al Davis barking from the Oakland Coliseum sidelines, when the AFL was young and the grudges were fresh. Fast forward to now, and you've got that same electric tension, amplified by the glitz of Vegas versus the sprawl of LA. The Bolts, under Harbaugh's no-nonsense rebuild, have been a buzzsaw early on, but cracks showed in their last outing. Meanwhile, the Raiders? They're the phoenix in black, shaking off the ashes of that early season stumble. Now, let's zoom in on the man under center, because no Raiders revival happens without the signal caller slinging fire. Quarterback Geno Smith, the Seattle transplant who's brought that West Coast polish to the desert, didn't mince words about what went sideways last time. "They did a good job mixing coverages," Smith reflected, his voice steady like a pre-snap cadence. "Disguised some things, had a solid plan for us. It was different from the week before, and they executed like pros. But looking forward to this matchup, it's our turn to flip the script." Geno, for the uninitiated, is the guy who turns broken plays into backyard magic. Drafted by the Jets back in 2013, he's bounced around the league like a pinball wizard. New York, the Giants bench, a career reboot in Seattle that had him dropping dimes on 70% completion rates. Now in Vegas, he's got that chip on his shoulder bigger than the one on Max Crosby's helmet. And speaking of edges, Smith's got weapons. Davante Adams, the precision route runner who's torched secondaries since his Packers glory days, pulling in over 1,000 yards last season alone. Pair that with Jacoby Myers' sneaky yards after-catch wizardry, and suddenly, the Raiders' air raid isn't just a threat, it's a thunderstorm. But wait, there's more brewing on the offensive front, and it's the kind of shakeup that screams, second wind. The Raiders parted ways with offensive coordinator Chip Kelly this week. Yeah, the speed-obsessed guru from Oregon days, whose up-tempo schemes lit up college fields but hit some speed bumps in the pros. Kelly's exit. It's not a funeral, it's a fork in the road. Stepping up to call the plays is Greg Olson, the veteran voice with a Rolodex of route concepts and a sideline rapport with Smith that's tighter than a goal line stand. "The play caller will now be right next to me," Smith grinned in his post-practice chat. "No more headset hassles or phone tag, I can just lean over and say, 'Hey, let's audible to that slant.' It's his first time dialing it up for me, so we'll learn on the fly, but I'm pumped." Olson, a Raiders lifer in spirit, he called games for them back in the day under John Gruden, brings that old-school familiarity. Think of it, no more remote control offense. This is direct line, eye-to-eye adjustments, the kind that turned the 2021 Raiders into a playoff pest. If Olson unlocks Smith's arm like he did for Derek Carr in those wild card runs, watch out. Expect bootlegs to burners, play-action bombs that make defensive backs look like extras in a slow-mo reel. Diving deeper into the analysis, let's talk tactics, because this rematch isn't won on vibes alone, it's chess with shoulder pads. Last meeting, the Chargers secondary, led by that lockdown corner Derwin James Jr., feasted on disguised coverages, forcing 2 picks and holding the Raiders to a measly 17 points. Harbaugh's crew mixed man and zone like a bartender shaking up a victory cocktail, and it worked. But here's the Raiders' counterpunch. With Olson at the helm, expect more pre-snap motion to unmask those disguises. Smith's quick release, clocking in at 2.5 seconds on average, could exploit Justin Herbert's occasional overthrows. The guy's got a cannon, but under pressure, his completion dips to 58%. And don't sleep on the ground game. Zamir White, the bruising back out of the Bayou, racked up 200-plus yards in that sneaky Week 8 win over Denver. If he gouges LA's front 7 for 100 yards again, it opens the skies for Adams to feast. Defensively, oh, Raiders fans, this is where the pirate ship sets sail. Max Crosby, the edge rusher who's basically a walking sack factory, 15.5 takedowns last year, leading the league in pressures, is salivating over Herbert. That QB's got tools, all right, Crosby might quip in a hypothetical huddle chat, but I've got a fridge full of his blindside nightmares. Pair him with Christian Wilkins, the Miami import who's clogging lanes like traffic on the 15, and you've got a D-line that could force 3-and-outs galore. The secondary, anchored by Trayvon Morrig's ball-hawking picks, held the Broncos to under 200 passing yards last outing. Against a Chargers offense that's averaged 28 points but coughed up 4 turnovers in their last 3? Prime pick-six territory. To put this in historical context, Raiders Nation, let's rewind the tape. This team's DNA is built on bounces, back from the 1960s AFL underdogs who shocked the world with their first Super Bowl tease, to the haystack era of Bo Jackson bulldozing linebackers like they were yard sale finds. Remember 1983? Marcus Allen's MVP season, 2,000-plus from scrimmage, capping with that iconic Super Bowl rumble. Or Howie Long, the Hall of Fame DE whose sacks still echo in Canton. The move to Vegas in 2020? It was Al Davis's dream deferred, turning the Raiders into the entertainment capital's renegades, selling out Allegiant with pyro and pirate chants. Playoffs? Not out of reach. Beat the Broncos next, and you're sniffing contention. It's the AFC West, folks. Chiefs reigning, but the throne's wobbly. Chargers fall, and suddenly, Vegas feels like the house always wins. So, Raiders faithful, lace up those cleats in spirit, crank the Raiders anthem, and tune in Sunday. This isn't just a game, it's a statement, a siege on the status quo. Will the silver and black reclaim their swagger? You bet your last doubloon they will. Follow us here on Raiders Report for live updates, post-game breakdowns, and that exclusive access only we deliver. Just win, baby, because in the end, it's not about the losses, it's about the legend we build next. Until kickoff, stay silver, stay black, and keep the faith. This is your Raiders voice, over and out.